The lockdown season in 2022 was a weird period of my life. One day, I got bored and decided to try out Tinder. I had no luck prior to this for finding any potential long-term partner, so I thought, I'm 18 now, so let's give Tinder a try. I set up my profile and uploaded several pictures of myself, including one where I stood in front of my old car. I made sure to cover the number plate and any other potential identifying features, just so it couldn't be identified. After a few awkward conversations, I matched with a guy called Liam. Liam genuinely loved to talk to me and said he was 21. We spoke for a few days, but he then started asking me very inappropriate and dark questions, telling me about BDSM and how he'd like to do that with me. I blocked him immediately as he was making me feel uncomfortable, and I had a gut feeling something was off. Immediately after I blocked him, I started getting friend requests on my other socials from Liam. But here's where it started getting creepy. He even started following me on accounts I had, which were completely anonymous. I'd never mentioned the names of those accounts to him, so it was really weird how he managed to find those accounts. I messaged him and begged him to leave me alone, and that he was making me feel uncomfortable. Like every other creep out there, he refused to stop. I even threatened him with taking legal action, but he didn't care. This is when things got even worse. One day, he sent me full registration details of my old car and told me he knew what street I lived on and that he was trying his hardest not to break into my house and get me. He told me how he'd seen me on the street and resisted the urge to grab and touch me. He listed places he'd seen me over the last few months, and if I didn't accept him, he'd make me accept him. He then sent me a full album of pictures he had taken of me without my knowledge. My heart dropped when I saw those pictures. I had never felt so much fear. This completely freaked me out, so I blocked him on everything and put everything I knew about him on my Instagram story. I asked in my story if any of my friends knew who he was. Immediately, one of my friends messaged me and told me she knew exactly who he was. He'd been chased out of a different town for being touchy with underage girls and college students. He'd been kicked out of college due to this and was facing a ton of charges. His family had kicked him out his home, so he was sleeping on the streets. He was keeping on a low because he didn't want to be seen by anyone who knew him. He had gotten beaten up multiple times by his victims' family and friends. At the time, I didn't take it any further because things seemed to have stopped. But just 2 weeks after the stuff he did with me, he ran out of my town after abusing an underage girl. Last I heard, he was in a larger city, but I haven't heard anything about his charges or if he got caught or not. Either way, that was the only time I ever used Tinder. That experience was enough.